Hello guys, welcome back to our YouTube channel. In this video we are gonna see, what if Naruto died and sent to the My Little Pony universe with Harem? Part 5. If you want more awesome fan fiction like this, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. So without wasting any time, let's get into the video. Phew, what a day, said Naruto as he walked back into town. Apparently he had gone to make a delivery to a noble over at Canterlot today and had just returned and was making his way back to the shop at least. Rare's inspiration had died down a bit. I thought that she would never stop chasing after me to put on some new dress that she made. Ever since Rarity learnt of Naruto's jutsu to change his gender, she had been dragging him to her boutique to serve as a mannequin for her latest projects, much to his embarrassment and the amusement of the others, especially Rainbow Dash, whom he knew would never let him hear the end of it. Then he glanced to the side and saw Twilight, Spike and Applejack. Although the weird thing is that Twilight was climbing out of a ditch and Applejack was hiding under a vegetable stall and looking at the sky in fear. What's going on with them? I'd better go take a look, said Naruto before trotting over to them. Hi girls and Spike, what's going on here? That one is coming out of a ditch and the other is hiding under a stall, as if something will fall on her head. Hi Naruto, well thing is Pinkie's tail started twitching and then Spike started to explain, but when Naruto heard the words Pinkie and twitching tail, he immediately started looking around him and was prepared to use his barrier crystal. It's okay, the prediction already came true, so it's safe now. Wait a minute, don't tell me that you believe in this stuff that Pinkie says too, said Twilight with a look of disbelief. Applejack came out from under the stall and dusted her hat before speaking. I know that it doesn't make much sense, but most of us who live in Ponyville have learned that if Pinkie starts twitching, then you'd better listen. AJ is right, Twilight, back then I was just as skeptical like you are. The first time Pink's tail twitched, I simply shrugged it off as a habit of hers, and I ended up paying the consequences, said Naruto. What happened? Asked Twilight curiously. A barrel full of molasses fell on me. It took me a lot of showers just to get the stuff off me. Since then, I've always had to keep my guard up whenever Pink starts twitching. Right then, Pinkie Pie showed up and her ears are moving around. My ears are flopping. My ears are flopping. What does that mean? Asked Spike while cringing in fear at what might happen, the same going for Naruto and Applejack, although Twilight was still doubtful. Then she noticed that Pinkie was staring at her. I'll start a bath for you, said Pinkie Pie. This had the others slowly back away from Twilight. Twilight chuckled softly. A bath. This keeps getting more ridiculous by the minute. At that moment, a donkey pulling a carriage passed behind her, passing over a mud puddle and splashing it all over her. Twilight growled angrily at what had just happened. Later on, Naruto was standing front of the sugar cube corner waiting for Twilight and Pinkie Pie to come out. He had secretly sent a shadow clone to deliver the money to Trixie at the shop so that he'll come by later. He heard the door open and saw the girls come out before walking over to them. Had a nice bath, Twilight? Asked Naruto with a playful smile. It would have been if there wasn't an alligator in the tub at the time, said Twilight. Oh, so you met Gummy, Pinkie's pet alligator. You know about the alligator? Yep, Naru met him back when he was helping me out in the sugar cube corner. Gummy always bites his tail whenever he sees Naru, said Pinkie Pie hopping next to them. And I'm pretty lucky that he doesn't have any teeth or it might have hurt a lot, said Naruto with a smirk. Well, I still don't believe in this special power stuff. It's nothing but a bunch of mumbo jumbo, said Twilight. What's not to believe? You use magic and Naru uses chakra, so what's the difference? Asked Pinkie Pie. You have no idea, there's huge difference. Magic is something you study and practice. It only happens when you decide to do it and it's meant to make something specific that you choose to happen, but with you Pinkie, it just doesn't make sense at all, said Twilight. Well, you can't apply common sense to the things Pinks does, it won't work no matter how hard you try, said Naruto. And that's not true, Twilight. Sometimes it's a fun ship random things happening to my body at random times that supposedly predict the future. I call them combos, said Pinkie Pie. Combos? Asked Twilight curiously as she walked in direction of the Ponyville library. That's new for me, Pinks. What do you mean by combos? Asked Naruto walking alongside them. Yeah, like ear flop, knee twitch and eye flutter. That means the sky is about to be graced with a beautiful rainbow, said Pinkie Pie. Yeah sure, said Twilight still sounding doubtful as she neared the door. Uh-oh, I feel a combo coming. Naruto turned to see what combo Pinkie will have. Ear flop, eye flutter, knee twitch. At that moment, the door flew and hit Twilight in the face to reveal Spike backing out of the door while holding a stack of books. Naruto quickly ran over and helped Twilight. I thought you said that combo meant beautiful rainbow, Twilight moaned out in pain. I saw Pinks do a different combo than the one she said earlier, said Naruto. That's right, what you were thinking was ear flop, knee twitch then eye flutter. But this one was an ear flop, then eye flutter, then knee twitch, which usually means to look out for opening doors, said Pink while demonstrating the combos. I'll keep that combo in mind since I don't want a headache from getting hitting by doors, said Naruto before turning to Twilight. Are you alright, Twilight? I'll be fine, but don't believe this, said Twilight with walking up close to her. You don't believe what you don't understand, said Pinkie Pie, which had Twilight get a thoughtful look on her face. Uh-oh, Twilight is about to enter her research mode, though Naruto with a sweat drop. Sure enough, he followed them into the library and went down a flight of stairs to where her laboratory is. There she placed some sort of helmet on Pinkie's head, which had some cords connected to a machine that was printing out graphs, and strapped her for hooves down to another machine. Okay then, now when you get another twitch, we'll all kinds of scientific information, said Twilight. Okie dokie Loki, said Pinkie Pie. Then they waited for a twitch, and waited and waited. Any twitches yet? Nopey dopey, they waited some more and still no twitches. Naruto started to wish that he kept a daring do book in his medallion if he knew that they were going to wait this long. Anything? Asked Twilight, who was beginning to get annoyed. Pinkie squinted her eyes as if in concentration before shaking her head in negative. Nope, I got nothing. Are you kidding me, after a day of non-stop twitching, now that I've hooked you up there's not even a single one? Said Twilight. I don't control it, they just come and go. That makes no sense. Sometimes you just have to believe in things, even if you can't figure them out. She's right, Twilight, there are many things that one can't always figure out, so you just have to accept them as it is, said Naruto, thinking of how he was able to defeat Neji, despite everyone believing that he would lose to the Hyuga prodigy. I will not believe in anything I cannot explain, said Twilight. Wait, I'm getting something. Twilight excitedly quickly ran back to the machine in anticipation, but they didn't get a twitch, but rather heard a growl. It's my tummy, that usually means I'm hungry. Now that you mention it, I could go for a bowl of ramen right about now, said Naruto as his stomach also growled. But Twilight wasn't happy at all. Arg, you know what? Just forget it. I don't need to know if this is real or not, I don't need to understand it, I don't even care. She walked away in a huff, so Naruto went over and helped Pinkie Pie off the machine. Let's go eat, said Naruto. Okie dokie Loki, said Pinkie Pie as she hopped up the stairs past Twilight and towards the door with Naruto behind them. When they reached the door, Pinkie started to twitch again, but Twilight ignored her and passed on. Naruto recognized the combo and tried to warn Twilight. But it was too late as the door flew open and slammed into Twilight to reveal Spike behind it. Naruto, Pinkie, have you seen Twilight? Asked Spike. Said Pinkie before leaving through the door, which closed to reveal Twilight behind it, and Naruto went to help her up again. Twilight, what were you doing back there? Twilight was glaring at them. Did the three of you plan this? We didn't plan anything, Twilight, I saw Pinkie twitch and tried to warn you, but I was too late about it, said Naruto. Arg, this is ridiculous. This can't be happening, this makes no sense. I have to figure this out, said Twilight, then she turned to Naruto, and you're going to help me, Naruto? Looks Twilight's research mode is in full blast, thought Naruto as he followed Twilight, who went to collect certain items. Later that day, Pinkie Pie was happily hopping along the road and a bush was quietly following her from a distance before stopping, and a pair of binoculars popped out of it. It was Twilight, who is wearing a pith hat with a pencil in her mouth. Then she started writing notes on a small handbook but was surprised when she heard someone call out to her from behind. Twilight. She turned around to see that it was Spike, then she quickly dragged him into the bush. Honestly, Spike, don't you better than to sneak up on ponies? Said Twilight. Oh sorry, but isn't that what you're doing? No, I'm doing scientific research, I'm observing Pinkie Pie. Other name. Pinkius picus in its natural habitat, said Twilight. Pinkius picus? Asked Spike confusedly. You're making it sound like pinks is some sort of wildlife that you're observing, Twilight, a voice spoke. Twilight and Spike traced the voice and looked up to see Naruto standing on a tree branch. There's something fishy going on with the whole twitchy prediction thing, and I'm getting to the bottom of it, said Twilight. She peeked out of the bush and saw Pinkie Pie hopping away. Come on, Pinkius picus is on the move. Twilight picked up the bush and followed after her with Naruto close behind as he leapt from one tree branch to another. They followed Pinkie, who was playing around the playground in front of the schoolhouse. Twilight watched through her binoculars and saw Pinkie rub her nose and itchy nose, then she saw Pinkie Pie hid under a large horseshoe. Aha. That makes no sense, then she turned to Naruto and Spike. See? She's hiding like something's about to fall from the sky, but a twitchy tail means something's gonna fall from the sky, not an itchy nose. Naruto and Spike peeked over to see what Pinkie would be hiding from. Their eyes widened when they saw a swarm of bees appear from the sky and was heading in their direction. Uh-oh, run, said Naruto as he and Spike ran for cover, leaving Twilight behind. Naruto, Spike, where are you going? Well, I'm the middle of explain. Twilight didn't get finished as the bees swooped in and started to sting her. The duo poked their heads from behind a tree and winced at the thought of being stung. Well, I have my own conclusion. If a twitchy tail means something will fall from the sky, wouldn't an itchy nose mean something will appear from the sky? Said Naruto. That actually makes sense, Naruto, said Spike while writing some notes on a small handbook. Next they followed to Pinkie Pie to Sweet Apple Acres and were spying from behind a bale of hay which was placed next to barn. What's she doing now? Asked Spike. Smelling some flowers, said Twilight, who had a lot of band-aids on the bee stings. Holy guacamole. I wonder what that means. I don't think it has anything to do with the twitching, Spike, said Naruto. Wait, I'm getting something, ear flop, eye flutter, knee twitch, said Twilight. Hang on, that's a combo that means to watch out for opening doors, said Naruto as he and Spike quickly moved away from the barn. Twilight was laughing at them. You guys believe in this stuff, don't you? Let me show you that there's nothing for you to be afraid of. She walked up to the barn door and leaned against it. There, you see. There's nothing for you to worry about. Maybe she's right, said Spike. I don't know, that door was already open, said Naruto with a thoughtful look, but I do seem to recall AJ telling me that she was building an apple cellar around here, but I can't seem to remember where exactly. They heard Twilight scream and looked to see a red door which was open on the ground, and there was a flight of stairs. Then they heard Applejack's voice. Twilight. You came to visit my new apple cellar, how nice. Twilight, are you okay? Naruto, do you still have that first aid kit in your medallion? Asked Spike. Yeah, but I think we're gonna need more than that, Naruto replied as they looked down the stairs with a wince. Then they traced Pinkie Pie to the park and were spying from behind a bench, although one won't consider that since Twilight is sitting on a wheelchair with her fur hooves all bandaged up and was in a bad mood. Alright, write this down, said Twilight as she looked through the binoculars' twitchy tail. Naruto tensed at what he heard but thought to ask just in case. What did you say? Oh, she said twitchy tail, said Spike, then his eyes widened at what he said. Twitchy tail. Be quiet, we can't let Pinkie know we're here, said Twilight. Naruto was slowly backing away and Spike had already ran for cover. Twilight, the first 2 times you were caught unawares. I really think you should use the barrier crystal that I gave you. Naruto, I really think you're overreacting on Twilight started, but then a flower pot landed on her head, followed by an anvil, a carriage carrying hay and finally a piano. I can accept having a barrel full of molasses falling on me back then, but where did these ones come from? Said Naruto as he looked up to the sky. Sorry boss, I didn't know what went wrong, said Derpy smiling sheepishly with her friend next to her. They were trying to offload some items from the moving truck in the sky, but dropped them by mistake. You have to be more careful, said the boss with a stern look. Meanwhile Pinkie Pie met up with Applejack, who was carrying a bucket full of apples. Hey Applejack, what you doing? Asked Pinkie Pie. Taking more apples to my new apple cellar. How about you, Pinkie? What are you doing? Said Applejack. Oh, letting Twilight secretly follow me all day without me knowing. You mean you knew all along? Why didn't you tell me? Asked Twilight as she walked up to them well covered in bruises and Naruto came with Spike on his back. No silly, that would have spoiled the surprise. Oh hey Naru, I didn't see you there, said Pinkie with a smile. Wait, how come you knew I was following you, but you didn't know that Naruto was there too? But Twilight, you forgot that I'm a ninja. We were trained to be stealthy and not let any pony know of our presence, and to tell you the truth, it's pretty hard to hide from someone like Pinks, said Naruto. He could see that Twilight was trying to control her temper. Is the tail still twitching? Spike asked fearfully. All done, clear skies from here on and as far as I can tell, said Pinkie, then she started twitching all over. What was that all about, Pinks? I've never seen you twitch like that, said Naruto. I don't know Naru, I've never got anything like it before. But whatever that shudder was about, it's a doozy. It said something you're never gonna expect to happen is gonna happen. Then Pinkie started twitching again and it's gonna happen at Froggy Bottom Bog. That's where Fluttershy's headed, Applejack exclaimed. What's Shy doing over there? Asked Naruto. Fluttershy was transferring the frogs from the lake since it was getting overpopulated, said Twilight. Is it about her? Asked Spike. I'm not sure, said Pinkie. We better go and make sure that she's okay, said Applejack before galloping off with Pinkie following her. AJ is right, twitching or no twitching, we have to go see if she's alright, Naruto before running after the others with Spike on his back. Calm down every pony. All we know is that Pinkie Pie just got a case of the shivers. That's all, said Twilight, but there was no one around to listen. She rolled her eyes before running after the others and caught up with Naruto and Pinkie Pie. I thought you don't believe in this stuff? Asked Spike from Naruto's back. I don't, I just want to be there to see the look on Pinkie's face when we find out nothing's wrong, said Twilight. Okie dokie, said Pinkie Pie as they entered the forest. They were running through the dark forest and Pinkie Pie was still twitching. Feeling cold? Need a jacket or something? Asked Twilight. Nope, I'm fine. Or maybe I could use a nice warm furry scarf, said Pinkie as she grabbed Naruto's tail and wrapped it around her neck, which startled him a bit. At least ask before turning my tail into a scarf, Pinks, said Naruto with a playful glare, which Pinkie returned with a grin. Okie dokie. Darn, I wish I could do that too, thought Twilight with a pout. So what do you think happened to Fluttershy? Asked Spike nervously. I hope nothing happened, said Applejack. I know, but what would you think might happen? Spike, let's not go there, as long as we believe Shy is okay, then she will be, said Naruto. Naruto is right, Spike, she's fine, I'm sure of it, said Twilight. I hope you two are right, for Fluttershy's sake, said Applejack, then she looked ahead. Look. There's Froggy Bottom Bog. They started looking for Fluttershy while calling her name. Naruto activated his aura Kake and looked around a bit before finding her aura nearby. Hey girls, I've found Shy. Follow me. Naruto led the way and they found Fluttershy guiding the frogs into the bog. Fluttershy, you're okay, said Spike happily. Of course, said Fluttershy. Phew, what a relief, Applejack. It's just that we were worried about you and came to check, said Naruto with a smile. I'm so glad that everything is alright, said Pinkie Pie. Sorry, I know it's not nice to gloat, but aha. I told you there was nothing to worry about, and I was right, said Twilight. Naruto noticed something was moving through the bog, and a green smelly mist appeared. His eyes narrowed at what he saw as the others hid behind him. It started to raise its head, or should we say heads, from behind Twilight, who was completely aware of what's going on. Pinkie Pie said whatever she was shuddering about was a doozy, and the only doozy here is how right I am, said Twilight. Twilight, said Applejack, trying to get her attention. Pinkie's made a lot of predictions today, but ugh, what is that smell? But what we've learned is that we can't believe in anything that we can't see for ourselves. In that case, you might want to look behind and upwards, said Naruto as he took a fighting stance. Twilight turned around, and her eyes widened in fear at what she saw. It was a four-headed serpent looking down at them. I see it, but I don't believe it. Is that a hydra? Said Pinkie fearfully. We have to time for questions, Pinks. We have to get out of here, shouted Naruto as he and the girls started running with the hydra in pursuit. Pinkie, run, shouted Twilight. Naruto turned around to see Pinkie standing there frozen in fear, and the hydra were about to attack. He quickly doubled back to get her while sending chakra to his feet to increase his speed, but he realized he won't reach her in time, so he called out to her. Pinks, use the barrier crystal. Naruto shouted out. It seemed to have snapped Pinkie out of it as she called out. Protect. A transparent dome appeared around her and knocked back the head that attacked, making it roar out in pain. But when the barrier disappeared, the other head saw it as an opportunity and swooped in to attack again. By then, Naruto had gotten close enough to stretch out a chakra tendril which wrapped around Pinkie Pie and pulled her away right before the jaws came upon her. Come on, we gotta keep moving. They kept running as the hydra continued to attack them. They were able to evade the jaws thanks to the barrier crystals and using the environment to their advantage, but soon they reached a dead end and they heard a cry and turned to see Spike stuck in marsh with the hydra closing in. Spike, hold on, water stream, shouted Twilight as she used her magic. Water churned underneath Spike before shooting out like a geyser, launching him in their direction, and Naruto jumped and caught him with his tail. Quickly, up that hill. They started running up, and the hydra was about to follow them when used his tail to reach into his ninja pouch and brought out a white crystal, then he threw it at the heads. When the crystal got close, it let out a bright flash of light which forced the hydra to stop and close their eyes in pain. What was that, Naruto? Asked Applejack while they were running. That's flash crystal that I made. It releases a flash of blinding light, which makes it perfect for distractions. It's also good for pranking too, said Naruto. We almost made it, said Twilight. But Pinkie's still shuddering, said Spike, and like he said, Pinkie was still shaking all over before it stopped only to start up again. They reached a cliff with only thin stone pillars to serve as stepping stones to the other side. They felt the ground shake and turned around to see the hydra climbing the hill as it had recovered from the flash. He'll be up here in no time. We have to cross quickly, one at a time, said Twilight. I distracted in order to buy you some time, said Naruto as he prepared to meet it. No, Naruto, it's too dangerous. Why do you always keep doing this? Because I don't want my precious ponies to get hurt. Now go. Naruto ran down the hill and stopped before the hydra who was glaring at him. Hey hydra, I have a question. Which of the heads does all the thinking while the others just stand there looking dumb? The four heads looked thoughtful before they roared angrily at him. Since it took you so long to figure it out, then all of the heads are dumb. One of the heads attacked him with jaws wide open, but Naruto jumped back and let the head hit the ground before slamming the top of it with a chakra arm, burying it further into the ground. He dashed forward and ran up the neck of another head before jumping it and at another head. Chakura Hoipu. Naruto spun around, slammed it with a glowing tail, But then two of the heads came in from different directions with the intent to crush as he was in midair with no way to dodge. Shadow Clone Jutsu. A clone appeared next to Naruto and wrapped his tail around him and threw high into the air before disappearing with the two hydra heads getting nothing but a headache each. Naruto reached the height of his throw before he started descending towards the ground. The hydra opened their mouths wide, thinking that he would fall into them, but Naruto simply smirked as he used Pegasus Dash to change direction and stretched out a chakra tendril to wrap around one of their necks and swung around in an arc. Then he formed a long chakra arm and performed a clothesline on three of the heads which knocked them out. "I'm sorry about this, but I didn't want you to eat me or my friends. So I'll take my leave and bid you adieu," said Naruto before he ran off and heard the remaining head roar at him angrily. He crossed over the stone pillars and met Twilight and the others with Pinkie hugging him happily. "Naru, I'm so glad that you're okay," said Pinkie. "So for worrying you girls," said Naruto looking apologetic. "That was pretty darn dangerous, Naruto, you shouldn't be making us worry like that," said Applejack, making Naruto bow his head. "All that matters is that we all okay, and I'd say we just had ourselves one heck of a doozy," said Twilight, but then Pinkie started shuddering again. "That wasn't it," said Pinkie. "What wasn't what?" asked Spike. "The Hydra wasn't the doozy." "What? How can it not be the doozy? What on earth could be doozier than the Hydra?" asked Twilight, who looked like she was about to lose her temper. No, but that just wasn't it, it was the final straw," as it mad Twilight so mad that she practically lit up in flames, much to the surprise of the others. "I give up." "Give up what?" Spike asked curiously. "The fight. I can fight it anymore. I don't understand how, why, or what, but Pinkie sense somehow makes sense. I don't see how it does, but it just does. Just because I don't understand it doesn't mean it's not true." "You mean you believe?" asked Pinkie while shuddering. "Yes, I guess I do." Then Pinkie stopped shuddering just like that and it didn't even start up again. "Oh, that was it. That's the doozy." "What was the doozy?" asked Applejack. Twilight believing in the Pinkie sense. "I never expected that to happen. That was a doozy of a doozy it was." Then Pinkie walked off while singing to herself as if what happened the past 10 minutes didn't happen at all. Fluttershy noticed that Naruto was thinking rather deeply. Naruto, what are you thinking about?" "If I don't know any better, it seems like the Pinkie sense was upset at Twilight for not acknowledging it and did all this to change her mind," said Naruto. "When you say it like that, it makes sense," said Spike, which of the others to start laughing. "Alright, let's go home since we've enough for one day." Naruto walked towards Ponyville with the others following close behind. The next day Naruto was heading to his shop and saw Twilight walking with Pinkie Pie, both are wearing umbrella hats. Chuckling softly, he walked over to say hello. "Hey girls, what does the Pinkie sense say today?" asked Naruto with a foxy grin. At that moment Pinkie's tail started twitching. "I wonder what's gonna drop out of the sky this time?" said Twilight as they all looked up. "You'll never know," said Pinkie. "Just be sure to keep the barrier crystal this time," said Naruto with a wink, making Twilight blush at what happened back then. What they didn't know was that Spike opened a window to the library, was about to send the letter to Canterlot. Something fell out of the sky and landed before him, who was none other than Princess Celestia herself. Twitchy tail. Celestia simply took the letter and flew off. Holy guacamole. Scootaloo was currently sitting on a couch in the Uzumaki mansion, waiting for Sweetie Belle and Apple Bloom to show to that they can plan their activities for the day on how they can get their cutie marks. She was trying to think of one, but something else happened to get her attention, which was a unicorn with orange fur and a spiky blonde mane. It was none other than her big brother Naruto Uzumaki, who was currently walking up and down the sitting room, looking impatient. "What's the matter, big bro? You look like you're in a hurry," asked Scootaloo curiously. After being adopted and living with him for several months, she learned that her brother is not exactly the most patient pony and doesn't like to stay in one place while not doing anything. "Well, you see, Scoots, I'm waiting for Trixie to come down from her room so that we can head on over to the Sugar Cube corner, and I don't want us to be late," said Naruto sitting alongside Scootaloo on the couch. "What's going to happen at the Sugar Cube corner?" "Celestia is coming over to Ponyville and we were invited to have a brunch with her." Ding dong. Naruto and Scootaloo turned to the sound and looked out the window to see that the clock tower had struck 4 o'clock. "Oh no, we're late." Naruto galloped to the bottom of the stairs. "Trixie, hurry up, we're already late." "I'm coming, Naruto." Trixie came walking down the stairs in her cape and conical hat, the same ones that she wore when she first came to Ponyville. "Sorry to have kept you waiting, but Trixie is ready to have an audience with Her Majesty." "That's great, Trix, but we gotta hurry." Naruto turned to Scootaloo. "See you later, Scoots, have fun with Apple Bloom and Sweetie Belle, and try not to make a mess." "Okay, big bro, see you later." Scootaloo saw them out of the door before closing it as they headed towards the Sugar Cube corner. After walking for a while, Naruto and Trixie finally made it to the sweet shop, only to see Fluttershy walking away from it. "Hey Shy, what's the matter and why are you leaving Sugar Cube Corner?" asked Naruto, looking confused. "Trixie is wondering the same as she recalls that Princess Celestia had invited you to the brunch as well," said Trixie. "Oh hello Naruto, Trixie, well you see the guards wouldn't let me pass and I didn't want to be a bother," said Fluttershy. Naruto shook his head, knowing how timid Fluttershy could be, "Then it's a good thing that we're here, come on." He beckoned her to follow him to where the guards stood at the entrance. "Hey guys, my friends and I were invited by Princess Celestia, and she too has been invited." "Very well then, you may pass," said the guards as they stood aside for them to pass through, which they did. "Thank you very much Naruto, Trixie," said Fluttershy happily. "Anytime Shy, I'm always happy to help out a good friend of mine," said Naruto with a foxy grin. "Indeed, Trixie will never hesitate to assist her friends," said Trixie with a smile. "Naruto, Fluttershy, Trixie." They turned to see Twilight walking towards them. "I'm so glad that you all made it, the party wouldn't have been the same without you." Naruto looked around to see a lot of ponies with some having conversations, while others are snacking on some pastries. Spike was using his fiery breath to bake some pies before Mr. Cakes carries them off to serve the guest. Mrs. Cakes was currently speaking with Princess Celestia and making me sure that she was served. "Sorry I'm late, I had to finish taking care of a patient first," said Fluttershy. "And I had to make myself look presentable, unlike a certain pony," said Trixie before glancing at Naruto with a knowing look. "Hey, you girls know that I'm not one for formalities all the time, and besides I like the way I look," said Naruto. "There's no arguing with that," the three mares thought simultaneously. "It's alright since you're all here, I'm sure that Princess Celestia would love to get to know you. I hope she will of course she will," said Twilight, although they saw her right eye twitching and was looking very nervous. "Wow Twilight, I thought I was the only one who got nervous at social gatherings," said Fluttershy. "It's not that, I just want the princess to approve of my friends. But she's met us all before. And read about you in my letters, but this the first time that she spent any real time with you. I want every pony to make a good impression. So I guess that's why she wanted to have this get together with us, so as to know us better," said Naruto, unaware that Princess Celestia had been sneaking a few looks at him. "Well, I'm sure that you have nothing to worry about. Don't touch me. Watch the dress." They turned to the voice and saw Rarity in a fancy dress, trying to prevent any pony from doing that might end up staining the dress. "Careful, you're going to spill that on me." Then Mrs. Cakes came by carrying a tray of cupcakes. "Oh that looks delicious." "What is it?" "Oh, does it stain? Keep it away from me." "Or perhaps not that casual," said Fluttershy. "Rarity can be quite vigilant when it comes to her clothes," said Naruto with a sweat drop. "Well Trixie would do the same thing if she wants to make an impression in gatherings such as this," said Trixie, nodding agreement to Twilight's actions. Naruto looked around and saw that Applejack currently has a dilemma, she just can't seem to decide what to eat first. Which is the salad and which is the appetizer again? And which am I supposed to first? Every time Applejack wanted to start on a snack, she would hesitate. This happened a couple times before she finally got fed up. "Oh never mind, I'm not hungry." Fluttershy could see that Twilight was becoming more and more nervous and tried to calm her down. "It's okay Twilight, so our friend's manners aren't perfect. I doubt the princess would notice. Have you girls forgotten about a certain pony whom manners don't apply to and knows how to grab one's attention in a matter of seconds?" said Naruto. "Really who?" asked Twilight thoughtfully before her eyes widened in realization. "Wait, you mean Yep, Pinkie Pie." No sooner Naruto mentioned the name than they heard a loud whoop and turned to see the said pony jumping excitedly all over the place and eating anything she could get her hooves on. "Woohoo. Cupcakes, candies and pies, oh my. Ooh-oh. Chocolate fontaine goodness." Pinkie Pie dipped her head in a chocolate fountain before licking it off her face. "Oh no," said Twilight worriedly. "Don't worry about it, I'm sure Mr. and Mrs. Cakes got it all under control," said Naruto. Sure enough, Mr. Cakes grabbed Pinkie Pie just before she got in over her head and pulled her away. "We're heading to greet Princess Celestia, are you coming Naruto?" asked Twilight. "I'll come by later, I want to take a look around a bit." Twilight nodded before she and Fluttershy went to sit next to Princess Celestia while Trixie went to talk with Rarity. Naruto began to walk around and greet every pony as he passed by. He came upon two familiar ponies to who he happily walked over and called out to them, "Hey Vinyl, Octavia, long time no see." The said ponies turned around and smiled upon seeing him. "Hello Naruto, it's good to see you again," said Octavia. "Hey Naruto, we haven't seen you for a long time, where have you been?" said Vinyl. "Sorry about that, I've been busy with the shop. What's been going since we last met?" said Naruto, rubbing the back of his head sheepishly. "Well, I've been standing as a DJ for several house parties and Octi came back from a concert that was held at Canterlot. You gotta join me one of these days, I'm sure that we'll rock the place the next time I'm called play to music at a party. I'll be looking forward to it." Octavia cleared her throat to gain his attention. I also wish to invite you to one of my concerts when you aren't too busy. Okay, anyway I'm going to meet up with Twilight so I'll see you later. Naruto waved at them before walking towards the table where they sat with Princess Celestia. Hello Princess Celestia, it's nice to see you again, although I'm wondering why Luna didn't come with you. Hello Naruto, it's good to see you as well. Luna has been rather busy dealing with paperwork, which is why she couldn't make it, said Princess Celestia with a smile. I understand, paperwork is the bane of all leaders, no matter which world one ends up in, said Naruto, but inwardly Celestia was smiling mischievously. Meanwhile in Canterlot, Luna is in her room with stacks of paperwork surrounding her, as she was signing them as fast as she can. Why did Big Sis have to leave me with all this paperwork to sign? She said that she had some business at Ponyville, and I wanted to come along to see Naruto too. She continued to sign, and then paused in the middle of it. She began to get suspicious. Big Sis looked like she was in a hurry to leave. Could it be that she dumped all this on me, so that I would stay behind while she went alone to see Naruto? That's not fair. Luna started to whine. She must have noticed the little trick that I played on her by now. Celestia giggled to herself as she sipped on her tea before placing it on the table. Empty teacup at 4 o'clock. Mrs. Cakes called out in alert. I got it honey bun, said Mr. Cakes as he quickly moved in to refill the cup with tea. Naruto was stunned at what he just saw. Whoa, that's some teamwork that Kakashi-sensei would have been proud of. Thank you, said Princess Celestia. No problem at all your majesty, said Mr. Cakes. Celestia took another sip only for Mrs. Cakes to show up and fill it up again. Thank you again. Oh but of course your majesty, said Mrs. Cakes. This kept on going for a while, until Celestia pretended to sip which produced quite a comical result. Gotcha, Celestia giggled while Naruto was laughing. That was a good one, I approve of it, said Naruto after reining in his laughter. Naruto, said Twilight. Sorry about that, the prankster side of me couldn't help but compliment the trick. Naruto rubbed the back of his head sheepishly, while Celestia giggled softly. Thank you for the compliment Naruto. Celestia then turned to Fluttershy. And what about you dear? Fluttershy was it? Me? Oh yes, your highness, said Fluttershy. I understand from Twilight Sparkle's letters that you enjoy tending to the needs of woodland creatures. Yes, I love to take care of them. As do I. As princess, I care deeply about all creatures, great and small. Nothing means more to me than the well-being of my subjects. Naruto smiled warmly as he remembered the third Hokage when he was alive. That sounds just like the Hokage of my village. Suddenly they heard someone coughing and turned to see a birdcage, and inside it was the mostly sickly-looking bird they've ever seen, with its feathers falling off every once in a while. Ah Philomena, my pet. You're awake. Do say hello to our esteemed guests, said Celestia. Philomena started to cough and sputter in response to them. Oh. My, said Fluttershy. That has to be the most sickly-looking bird I've ever seen, thought Naruto as he didn't want to appear rude. She is quite a sight isn't she? Said Celestia. I've never seen anything like it, said Fluttershy. Naruto's sensing abilities kicked in, and he could feel the worry emanating from her. Then one of the royal guardsmen came over and whispered into Celestia's ear. Really? Well if I must, said Celestia, then she turned to the crowd. I'm sorry everypony, I'm afraid I have to cut the party short. Twilight almost spat out her tea when she heard it. The mayor has requested an audience with me. Royal duty calls. Thank you for a wonderful time, and it's been a joy getting to know all of you better. With that said, the princess left with the guards following her. Phew, now I can eat something. I'm starved. Applejack was about to eat if only Mr. Cakes hadn't cleaned out the table. Much to her disappointed, Naruto thought to make it up her by treating her to some of his cooking later. Pinkie Pie was performing cartwheels on her way out through the door and ended up crashing into some pony. Rarity was being ever vigilant as she slowly backed towards the door and keeping an eye out for anything that might stain her dress. Stare right where you are. All I want is a clear path to the exit. Nobody move and my dress won't get hurt. Stay back. Back, I say. Was she like this whole time before Princess Celestia left? Naruto asked Trixie when she walked up to him. Yes she was, but Trixie was impressed that she could keep her dress clean without getting a stain, said Trixie, with Naruto shaking his head in amusement. Then they left as well with Twilight sighing in relief. Well Spike, I don't know for sure how things went with the princess, but at least no big disasters happened, said Twilight, but it seems she has forgotten that Murphy's Law is always present to mess with anything and everything. Later in the day, Naruto had escorted Trixie back to the mansion and was heading towards Fluttershy's house to talk to her. Shy did seemed worried about Celestia's pet bird with the way she looked. Maybe I should check on her and sees if she's okay. When he finally reached her home, he knocked the door a few times before letting himself in. Hey Shy, I wanted to talk to you about. Naruto trailed off when he saw Fluttershy with Princess Celestia's pet on the couch. Shy, what's going on and why is the princess's pet here? Oh Naruto, well you see. I wanted to nurse Philomena back to health since the princess must have been busy with her royal duties to care for her properly. I'm sure that the princess would appreciate the help," said Fluttershy. Naruto simply shook his head, knowing that Fluttershy can be a bit of a mother hen when it comes to animals and other creatures. She could be right though, since I've seen how busy Celestia and Luna are whenever I visit during my deliveries. "Okay then Shy, I'll help you," said Naruto with a smile. "Hey, are you sure Naruto? I don't want to bother you," said Fluttershy. "It's no problem at all, I'm sure with the two of us working together, we'll be able to patch Philomena up." "Thank you," Fluttershy smiled happily, then Philomena started to cough loudly again. "Oh my, we need to get you to bed right away." Naruto carried Philomena with his tail and placed her on a small bed. Before covering her up with a blanket, Fluttershy came with a thermometer and placed it her beak. Suddenly Philomena started to burn up with thermometer displaying a high temperature. Naruto quickly took off the blanket and Fluttershy placed a water bag on her head to cool her down, which it did as the temperature went down. But the bird started shiver with the cold. Fluttershy took off the water bag and Naruto put the blanket back on her, only for Philomena to start burning up again. This cycle kept on going until the thermometer couldn't take any more and shattered. "Whoa, this bird must be sensitive to both temperatures," said Naruto. "You're right, what she needs is some medicine," said Fluttershy and received a cough in reply. Naruto carried her to the table while Fluttershy came in with a plate that had a medicine tablet on it. "Here you go Philomena, this will fix you right up." Philomena sniffed the tablet and gave a look of disgust. "Well, I understand that you don't want to take the medicine since it will obviously taste bitter. Don't worry Naruto, I planned for this." Fluttershy brought in a bag of bird seed and poured it over the tablet. Philomena gave it a lick before it started pecking at the food rapidly. "See, it works every time." Fluttershy looked at Naruto with a smile, then they turned only to see that all of the bird seed had been eaten, but the medicine tablet was left untouched. "I guess not this time." "Well, we haven't met an animal or bird that could eat so accurately, it even makes me wonder what kind of bird she is," said Naruto. Later Fluttershy cooked a bowl of tomato soup and carried it over to where Naruto and Philomena are. "Here you go. There's nothing like a bowl of soup to cure what ails you." The bird simply took one look at the soup and refused to eat it. "Come on Philomena, I'm sure you like it. All the other animals enjoy Fluttershy's cooking and I'm sure you like it too," said Naruto, making Fluttershy blush. "Please give it a try, it's good for you." Fluttershy held the bowl forward, but Philomena turned away. She kept trying and the bird kept turning until she got dizzy and fell into the bowl. "Oh dear, don't worry, I know what will make you feel better. Wait right here." Fluttershy walked off. "This is getting harder than I thought," said Naruto and got a cough in reply. Fluttershy came with a hummingbird whom Naruto recognized to be Hummingway as he met him during his visits. "Look, I brought a followed feathered friend by to cheer you." Hummingway was one sick too, but he let me help him and got better in no time. "Didn't you boy?" said Fluttershy. The hummingbird nodded before flying over and settling on top of Naruto's spiky mane. "They really like sitting on your mane Naruto." "I know, but it doesn't bother me much," said Naruto. Hummingway started to hum a tune which Fluttershy was quick to join in. "That sounded very nice Shy." "Thank you Naruto." Fluttershy turned to Philomena. "Give it a try Philomena, you can do it." But Philomena ended up coughing a ball of mouse food in her face. Naruto used his tail to wipe it off. Later Fluttershy took Philomena to the bathroom wrapped up in a towel. "I know what will clear up the tickle in your throat, a humidifier," said Fluttershy as she went over to the device and turned it on, releasing water vapor into the air. "How's it feeling for you now?" Philomena took a long deep breath. Fluttershy thought it was working, but it ended with a cough again. "I'm beginning to think that there's something rather solid in that throat of hers," said Naruto from the door. "It's okay Naruto, there are still other remedies like," said Fluttershy as she carried the bird to another room with Naruto close behind. "Aromatherapy?" Philomena sneezed at the scent. "Warm bath." The bird absorbed all the water and swelled up like a sponge. "Ointment?" Pimples rather started appearing all Philomena's body. Fluttershy and Naruto tried everything to the point of even using surgical tape to put the feathers back on Philomena, who even looked more sick than before. "What haven't we tried that would work on Philomena?" said Naruto. "I know, I thought that it would be easy to nurse her back to health and we tried everything. But now she even looks much worse than before," said Fluttershy. "Well, we can't give up now, we'll definitely find a way to make her feel better," said Naruto. "It's times like this that I wish Grandma Tsunade was here, she would have figured out the problem and solved it in a matter of minutes." Suddenly they heard knocking on the door, then it opened to reveal Twilight coming inside. "Uh-oh," was what they both thought. "Hi Fluttershy, Naruto, I just wanted to drop by and say thank you very much for making a good impression on the princess today." She trailed off when she saw Philomena sitting on the stool. "What is Celestia's pet doing here?" "Well, I couldn't leave her just like that, she needed my help and Naruto wanted to help too," said Fluttershy. "Oh no, no. This is very bad." "But Twilight, Shy just wanted to help her," said Naruto. "But without telling any pony without permission." "You've got a point there." I know that Fluttershy had good intentions, but you've got to return the princess's pet. She's right, Naruto, let's just return her before anything bad happens, said Fluttershy. They quickly strapped on a basket on Naruto and then placed Philomena inside it and closing the lid. Great, now all we have to do is put her back inside her cage before anyone realizes she's missing. Twilight ran to the door and opened it only to stop in fear when she saw the royal guards before. They must have noticed that Philomena was missing, thought Naruto panicky. We were told that we could find Twilight Sparkle here, said the guard. We regret to inform you, miss, that the royal pet has gone missing, said the other. Really? You don't say. Twilight was trying to act surprised. Without warning, Philomena started cough from the basket, much to their fear of being found out. Uh-oh, think fast, Naruto. He started to cough so as to draw the guard's attention. Sorry about that, I got something in my throat, so don't mind me. The guard simply gave him a curt nod and then turned to Twilight. Thanks for informing me, I'll be sure to help in the search of the princess's pet, said Twilight. The guards nodded again before leaving. After they were gone, Fluttershy spoke up. So should we return Philomena now? We can't do that just yet. Do you have any idea what she would do to you if she finds out that you're the one who took her pet? Do you? Well, not really, but it can't be good. Like what? Asked Naruto. She might banish her from Equestria or throw in the dungeon. Or she could banish her and then throw her in a dungeon in the place that she banishes her to. Twilight, calm down, you're exaggerating. Besides, there's no way that Celestia would do that. You may be right, but do you want to take that chance? Well, all that matters to me is that Philomena gets well, said Fluttershy. That's very noble of you, I'll write to you when you're banished. Unless I'm banished to somewhere there's no post office. Then you'll have to write to me, deal? Said Twilight. Please, Twilight, just help us get Philomena better and then we can return her to the princess. Then everything will be fine. Didn't you give her any medicine? We did, but she wouldn't take it. Then you have to make her take it. Sometimes you're too nice for your own good. You need to show the patient who's boss. Make her straighten up and fly right. Looking at her, I doubt she can fly, said Naruto. No excuses. Twilight picked up the medicine tablet and had Philomena swallow it. Good, what's next? Well, she keeps pulling her feathers off, aside from the ones that haven't fallen off from all that coughing, said Fluttershy. Then Twilight fitted a funnel over Philomena's head much to her dislike as she tried to get it off. I don't think she likes it. Well, you wanted her to get well, right? Even if she doesn't like it, she needs it. Oh, okay, she desperately needs some bed rest, but I can't get her to stay put. Don't worry, Fluttershy, I'm all over it. A few minutes later, Philomena was exactly happy as she was put in a cage just so she can sleep. I'm sorry, Philomena, but it's for your own good, said Fluttershy. I have to admit that even I won't be able to sleep if I'm put in a cage like that, said Naruto. What's this soup over here? It smells delicious, said Twilight as she stood next to the table which the soup was on. Shy made the soup for Philomena, but she refused to eat it. Twilight raised the bowl into the air with her magic and smirked. Oh, she'll eat it alright. I don't like the look on your face, Twilight, said Naruto worriedly. Twilight went over to the cage and opened it, but no sooner she did than Philomena jumped out of the cage and threw the door. Runaway bird. Wait, Philomena, come back, said Fluttershy as they all ran out of the house in pursuit of the bird. We have to catch her before the guards see her, said Naruto. They chased after the bird throughout town and lost sight of her. When they followed her several times around a tree, they saw someone sitting on a bench while reading a newspaper and went over. Excuse me, but have you seen a bird that's losing its feathers running around here? Asked Twilight. The reader then pointed to the left. Thanks for the directions. They ran off, but Naruto stopped for a moment to think. Hey, wait a minute. He turned around only to see a discarded newspaper on the bench and Philomena running away. That was Philomena all along. The mares heard him and rejoined the chase. Philomena ran around a corner of a house with Naruto, but he quickly came back and stopped Fluttershy and Twilight with his tail. Why did you stop us, Naruto? Asked Twilight. Naruto raised a hoof to his lips as if saying to be quiet and pointed where he came from. Twilight peeked round the corner and pulled back when she saw the guards looking around. Let's sneak around them so they won't notice us. They crossed the street with Twilight on the tips of her hooves, Fluttershy flapping her wings silently and Naruto using his stealth training to get by. Now where did she go? Said Twilight as they looked around. She's over there. They looked at where Fluttershy was pointing and saw Philomena poking her head out the door of a house. She saw them and went back in as they quickly followed. She came out through another and entered next. Soon it resulted in them running through doors randomly until Naruto, Fluttershy and Twilight crashed into each other. Ouch, that bird is really hard to catch. It's almost like I'm chasing myself, said Naruto. Let's just keep looking. She couldn't have gone far, said Twilight. They were running along the street when Rainbow Dash flew over them. What are you guys doing? Are you having a race? Oh, can I play? 1, 2, 3, go. Then she sped off before they could explain to her. Soon they reached a fountain where Applejack, Rarity and Pinkie Pie were standing nearby. "Excuse me," Fluttershy lifted Pinkie and looked underneath her. "Hi," said Pinkie Pie. "Beg your pardon," Twilight also lifted Rarity to look underneath her as well. "Put me down," said Rarity, to which Twilight complied. Naruto went and dipped his head into the fountain before pulling out, much to their confusion. "What in tarnation is going with you three?" asked Applejack. "Oh, nothing too serious, we're just looking for," started Naruto, but he was interrupted by a voice from behind. The princess's pet bird. They turned to see that it was the guards who were looking upwards. They followed their sight to see Philomena standing on top of the fountain statue, having lost all of her feathers. "Philomena, come down here. You'll hurt yourself," said Fluttershy. Then Philomena started exaggerate its death and collapsed on the statue for a few moments, only to get up and resume before finally falling off. "I'll catch you." Fluttershy ran forward and tried to her, only for Philomena to burst into flames and land on her hooves as a pile of ash, much to everyone's shock. Fluttershy started to cry while Naruto just stood there stunned. "No way. What's going on there?" "Twilight." They both flinched when they heard Celestia's voice from behind them. "Yes, Your Majesty, there has been a terrible accident," said Twilight. "It's all my fault," Fluttershy spoke up. "No, it wasn't, you didn't know any better and you were just trying to help." "Some help I was. I also played a part in this, so I'm just as responsible for this like you, Shy," said Naruto, walking up to them. "But Naruto," Fluttershy started to speak. "But nothing, I'm not going to let you take all the blame while I go scot-free. That would be going against what my sensei taught me. Why don't you two let me do this?" "She'll go easier on me," said Twilight. "Thanks for trying to protect us, Twilight, but we have to do this." Fluttershy and Naruto stepped forward to speak with Celestia. "Princess Celestia, I'm the one who took your pet bird. I wanted to help her feel better. And I came and saw her taking care of Philomena and wanted to help her. We intended to return her back to you, for this we're willing to take any punishment without hesitation," said Naruto. The others were watching nervously at what the princess will do next. Celestia walked over to the pile of ash that was Philomena. And spoke to it. "Oh, stop fooling around, Philomena. You're scaring every pony." Suddenly the ashes rose to the air and started swirling around. Then in a burst of light, a majestic bird with red and orange feathers flew in the air, much to everyone's amazement. "I don't understand. What is that thing? What happened to Philomena?" asked Fluttershy. "I'm just as confused as you're, Shy," said Naruto as they approached the princess, and the bird flew down and perched on Celestia's forehoof. "This is Philomena, she's quite a sight, as I said. But nothing unusual for a phoenix. Isn't that right, Philomena?" said Celestia. Philomena let out a squawk in reply. "A phoenix? That sounds familiar," said Naruto, then he remembered Sasuke using a fire jutsu called the Phoenix Flower Jutsu during their fight at the Valley of the End, and shook his head to clear his mind before turning to the others. "The phoenix is a majestic and magical bird. While it appears healthy and happy most of the time, every so often it must renew itself by shedding all of its feathers and bursting into flame." She leaned over and whispered into their ears, rather melodramatic if you ask me, then she spoke out loud again. "It then rises from the ashes, fresh as a daisy. All just a normal part of a life cycle of a phoenix. I'm afraid little Philomena here took the occasion to have a little fun with the both of you. Tell them you're sorry, young lady." Philomena squawked quietly to them as if saying I'm sorry, but Naruto just gave a foxy grin. "It's alright, and I have to admit that chase we had was lot of fun, and your feathers is of my favorite color, orange." Philomena squawked happily and then flew towards Naruto, who brought his tail forward to serve as a perch. She landed on it and rubbed her head against his. "So you aren't going to banish us? Or throw us into a dungeon? Or banish us and then throw us in a dungeon in the place that you banished us to?" asked Fluttershy. "Of course not, my little pony. Where on earth would you get such an idea?" asked Celestia. Naruto quickly spoke up. "When one has a lot of free time in their hooves, we tend to have wild imaginations to pass the time." Twilight smiled gratefully at Naruto before speaking up as well. "Fluttershy and Naruto really did everything they could to help Philomena for you. And I truly appreciate the help from you too. But all you had to do was ask and I could have told you that Philomena was a phoenix and saved you the trouble." Naruto rubbed the back of his head sheepishly. "Yeah, but then we wouldn't have had this much fun either, right, Philomena?" The reborn phoenix squawked in agreement with Celestia, giggling. "Next time I shouldn't jump into conclusions and take matters into my own hooves," said Fluttershy. "Should I write a letter about that lesson, princess?" asked Twilight. "No, that's quite alright. I think I can remember," said Celestia. Then Philomena flapped her wings and two feathers came off and stuck themselves in between Naruto and Fluttershy's ears, with one being orange and the other red respectively. "Thank you, Philomena, it's beautiful and no hard feelings," said Fluttershy. Philomena squawked happily and Naruto was smiling. Then he noticed that Rainbow Dash was staring at the guards who were bringing the cage. Walked over to her with Philomena still perched on his tail. Hey Dash, what's up? I've been trying to get the guards to react to something, but everything I do doesn't seem to work, said Rainbow Dash. Really? Naruto thought deeply for a while, then he had an idea which he whispered to Dash, who smirked and nodded giddily. Then he moved his tail forward and whispered a few words to Philomena, who also nodded, and she flew over to the cage. She used her wings to tickle their noses, which made the guards laugh out loud. Alright, once again the pranksters +1 have struck again. Naruto, Rainbow Dash and Philomena did a group high five and started to laugh as well, with every pony joining in. In an unknown dimension. In a valley where an ancient shrine is built, several guards lay on the floor dead, with 4 strangers in white attire standing at the entrance as they wait for the return of their leader. Inside the shrine, down a flight of stairs, a man in a grey attire and black trench coat stood before a large stone door. You have been waiting here all this time, Lord Morio, but now you shall wait no longer. He raised his hand towards the door and shot a purple beam to it, which shattered it into pieces. Inside is a dark void, and an evil voice echoed from it. Who are you and why are you here? Said the dark voice. Lord Morio, it is I, Yomi, a descendant of the man that once used your dark powers to create the Ghost Army. The time has come to join forces once again and finally create the 1,000-year kingdom. But where is my physical body? Without it my soul will scatter into the winds, said Morio. I offer my body to serve as your vessel. I should be able to take hold of your soul and transfer it into my body. Yomi then opened his coat to reveal his bare chest, then he used surgical tools to open it. Now come, enter my body. A dark aura shot out and went inside, then Yomi quickly stitched it back up. He started to laugh evilly and shouted out, "Arise my army." The ground started to quake as many mounds of earth shot from the ground before taking forms of armored soldiers. Now we shall embark for where our master's body lay sealed away. Not yet, there is an enemy whom you must destroy first. Seek out the priestess, only she has the power to undo me, said Morio. And once she's dead, I shall align all the great nations and establish a single kingdom to rule over all the world. Then he started to laugh evilly into the night as the ghost army began to march. Thump, 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 that is a sound which one would hear whenever they pass by sweet apple acres, which means that a member of the apple family is hard at work bucking apples from the trees in order to sell or use them to make cider. Inside the orchard, Applejack was standing with her brother Big Mac, with a look of concern on her face, as they listening to the thumping of the trees, as they were bucked for the apples to drop in the buckets laid near them. He's been like this for a while now, hasn't he? Asked Applejack. Yep, Big Mac responded. They were watching their good friend Naruto buck the apple trees with no problem, but the issue is how he was doing it. Despite bucking the trees for the apples to drop, Naruto had an absent-minded look on his face, which is quite unusual for someone like him. Then Applejack decided to call out to him, "Okay Naruto, that's enough for today." Naruto stopped and gave a nod affirmation, "Gotcha AJ." He walked over to them. Applejack was silent for a moment before finally speaking up. "Naruto, is there something bothering you?" Naruto looked surprised for a moment before replying, "No, nothing that I know of." "Why do you ask?" "Well, you've been looking kind of lost in your thoughts, and you've been like that for the past 3 days. I and the others are a little bit worried about you." "Sorry if I worried you, if there's anything I need your help with, I'll let you guys know." Naruto rubbed the back of his head. "Sure thing Naruto, I'll see you later." Naruto waved goodbye to the 2 ponies and made his way back home. Trixie had gone to Canterlot to get a new spell book, while Scootaloo was hanging out with Sweetie Belle and Apple Bloom, which made him the only one in the house. He walked to his bedroom, taking off his headband, goggles and medallion, and putting them on the cabinet before laying on the bed and staring at the ceiling. "I know I told AJ that there's nothing bothering me, but I keep getting this feeling of foreboding that something as bad is about to happen, and I should be there. I had this feeling when Nightmare Moon made her return, and now I'm feeling it again," Naruto mused to himself. Suddenly the medallion started to glow, and an orb floated out of it. Much to his surprise, I didn't command the medallion to release anything. Unless it's, the orb floated over to him and turned into a white scroll. "I think Kami-sama has a mission for me in another world. I'd better get ready and head over to Dr. Wu's to transport me." Naruto resealed the scroll and quickly geared up, then he wrote a note to Trixie and Scootaloo and pasted it on the front door. He galloped over to Dr. Wu's house and knocked on the door. Dr. Wu's opened and smiled upon seeing who it was. "Naruto, it's good to see you again. I guess your being here must mean that Kami has given you a mission, right?" "That's right Doc, and I need your help to get to the next world." "Is the TARDIS ready to go?" asked Naruto. "Of course, just let me input the coordinates from the scroll into the TARDIS and we'll be on our way." Naruto unsealed the scroll and handed it over to the doctor. Then they entered the machine and were soon traveling through the void to their next location. "So what information do we have for this world that we're going, and what is the threat?" asked Naruto as he was looking over his current gear and crystals in the pouch. Dr. Woos reopened the scroll and started to read through it and then had a quirked eyebrow. "Strange, it doesn't say anything about this world." "Really? That's weird." What it does say is that many years ago, a man used the power of a demon called Moryo to try and conquer an entire continent by raising an invulnerable army. This army went from one country to another, devastating everything in its path and putting the whole world on the brink of destruction. Then a priestess appeared and used a powerful ritual to separate Moryo's soul from his body and sealed them far away from each other. And now someone has gone and set a part of Moryo free, right? Asked Naruto. That's right, some pony has gone and freed Moryo's soul and raised the ghost army again and plans to reunite it with his physical body. And if that comes to pass, then nothing will be able to stop him, said Dr. Woos. So what is my mission? Your mission is to escort the descendant of the priest to the shrine where the body is sealed and seal Moryo's soul away again. But you must be vigilant as Moryo will be sure to send his forces to kill the priestess in order to prevent being sealed away. Naruto gave a nod of affirmation. Alright, so who's the hero that'll be helping out? It doesn't say in the scroll either, but it says that sometimes a world would change your body into a form suitable to move around in it. Dr. Woos turned to look at the controls. Looks like we're almost there, so be ready. In a deep forest where a stream flows nearby, the TARDIS appears in bright flash of light before settling on the ground with a slight bump. The doors opens and Naruto steps out to look around. He suddenly feels his magic power being cut off, but feels his connection with Kasei no Ha and his chakra. He began to glow brightly and felt different. Naruto looked at himself and was surprised to see that he actually stood on 2 feet and had fingers again. He ran over to the stream to look at himself. He was wearing his hoodie jacket which was black and orange with a red spiral on the back with orange pants and black ninja sandals. He also wore his medallion and goggles around his neck and his headband around his forehead. The Kasei no Ha materialized and stuck to his back while glowing a bit. Why am I a human again, and why does this place feel so familiar, like I've been here before? Naruto thought deeply before coming upon a conclusion that shocked even himself. Could it be that I'm back in the elemental nations? Then Dr. Woos stepped out and called out to him, "You'd better get going, Naruto. The scroll says that you should head east, which is where the priest could be located." Got it. Naruto then took to the trees and headed in that direction as fast as he could, in hopes that he makes it soon before anything bad happens. The group of 4 in white attires stood on the edge of a cliff overlooking a castle with evil smiles on their faces. "Come on, brother, let's get this show on the road," said the one white hair and a cloth covering his mouth. "All in good time," said the one with violet hair. Then 3 black snakes came out of his body and inserted themselves into the others. Then purple chakra burst out of them. As their eyes changed to pitch black, hair became wilder, and markings appeared on their faces. "We now have the chakra strings as promised. Now let's get down there and get busy," said the white-haired man. Hey, all leapt into the air towards the castle. Alert! Alert! 4 intruders have invaded the castle. Protect Lady Xian at all costs, shouted one of the guards. A squad readied their bows and let loose a hail of arrows at the intruders. One of them moved forward and started spinning like a propeller, breaking the arrows, while the other took out shurikens, kunes and other tools to return fire, before smashing through the roof as they proceeded to make their way to where the priestess slept, all the while taking down any guards that tried to stand in their path. Another squad were making their way the priestess's sleeping chambers as fast as they could until they finally made it to the entrance of their destination. They opened the door and ran inside. "Lady Xian, we have intruders. We have to flee." But then the roof came down and crushed the guards with only 2 to get out of the way. Then from the cloud of dust, the white-haired burst out and punched one of the towards the priestess's bed, knocking off the screen, and started toying with the other guard who tried to fight back before knocking him to the ground while laughing maniacally all the way. "Ha ha 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 ha, so there you are." The rest of the group appeared and immediately threw shuriken at the priestess, but the first guard moved in to intercept and took the hit. "Taruho, take care of Lady Xian." The guard fell to the floor and laid there unmoving, and the priestess sat there with a blank look on her face. The newly named Taruho grabbed his sword and stood in their way to protect her. "Pretty little priestess, your life is ours now," said the purple-haired man as they slowly approached. "I don't think so." A figure flew through the entrance and jumped over their heads and landed before them. It was a male ninja dressed in orange and black with a sea blue broadsword with an outward motif for the guard, and in the center is a white swirling energy attached to his back, but without a sheath or harness. They couldn't see his face since his hood was put up. "None of you guys are going anywhere near her." "Who is this guy and why did he just charge in like that? Could he be as strong as we are?" asked the orange-haired girl. "Could be, or maybe he's just an idiot," said the blue-haired man. The unknown ninja turned his head towards and spoke, "You get her out of here while I deal with these guys." Taruho nodded in affirmation. He ran over to the priestess and carried her away before passing through a secret passing which Naruto quickly moved in to block. "None of you are getting past here." "Are you kidding me? How are you supposed to stop us by yourself, huh?" laughed a white hair man with the rest of the group joining in. "You guys will soon learn that it's never a good idea to underestimate Naruto Uzumaki. Let's take this fight outside." 4 chakra arms shot from his back and each raced towards a selected target and punched them in the face with enough force to send them smashing through the ceiling and out into the courtyard. "That guy certainly knows how to prove a point, he's better than we thought," said the violet-haired man. They got up and looked to Naruto jump out from the castle towards them, then he crossed the index and middle finger of each together and called out. "Multi-shadow, clone jutsu." In a large puff of smoke, many copies of Naruto appeared and surrounded the group in a fighting stance. "Itachi, Setsuna, Shizuku. Bust out an earth, fire and wind combo," said the violet-haired man as he jumped back for the whited hair man known to be Gitai step forward. "With pleasure. Earth style. Earth in corridor." Gitai slammed his large fists on the ground which began to shake as it started to rise over Naruto and his clones, creating a cavern. "Darn, we gotta get out of here." They spotted an opening and made a dash for it. The orange-haired girl known as Shizuku made her move fire style. Fire run. She spun around a few times to form a circle of flame before kicking towards the opening. Naruto saw the incoming attacking and jumped through the circle to avoid the flames. "What was that supposed to do?" said Naruto as he and the clones kept on running for the exit. Then the blue-haired man known as Setsuna followed up with his next move wind style. Divine down current. He blasted a vortex of wind into the makeshift cavern. Naruto's eyes widened upon seeing the incoming wind and turned around to see the flames still present if those two elements mixed together. Naruto raised his left hand which had a bracelet with a white crystal that has a symbol drawn on it attached protect. The transparent dome appeared around him and shielded against the blazing inferno, although the clones were forced to disappear due to the flames. "I gotta get out of this makeshift oven." Then he heard a girl shout above him with a voice that was all too familiar to him. "Jaya." He felt the top of the cavern break open and quickly jumped out to see someone whom he had thought he would never meet again. She wore a sleeveless red top with a zipper in the middle, accompanying it are black gloves, low heel, knee-high boots, black shorts underneath a short gray apron skirt, and pink elbow protectors. He also noticed that she changed the cloth of her headband pink and is carrying a pouch different from the normal one. "Sakura," Naruto whispered softly so that she wouldn't hear him. She turned around and spoke to him. "I don't know who you are, but you look like you could help. Lee and I will help you fight these guys," said Sakura. "Bushy brows," thought Naruto. He turned to see someone engaging the group. He has his black hair in a bowl cut style with very thick eyebrows and wears a green jumpsuit, orange leg warmers and a flak jacket of the Hidden Leaf Village. Dude hasn't changed since then, huh? Naruto gave a silent nod before jumping in to assist his old friends. Chakra bullet. Rapid fire. Naruto aimed his palm forward and a rune appeared before releasing a barrage of small white orbs at the group, forcing them to jump back in order to avoid the attack. He moved in to engage Setsuna in an exchange of kicks and punches. Lee dashed forward and launched himself at Shizuku Leaf Hurricane. He aimed a high kick which was evade and quickly switched to a low kick that connected successfully, knocking her back. Itachi charged at Naruto with a fist raised to strike take this you twerp. Naruto kicked Setsuna away and turned around to charge at him with a fist covered in chakra. They both clashed with either trying to overpower the other for dominance. "Looks like that's all you got." Naruto smirked underneath the hood. On the contrary, he pulled his fist back with the chakra arm holding back Gitai's fist in place and punched again, driving his fist into Gitai's gut and sent him skidding backwards. "There's more where that came from." He was about to attack again when they got up and took off. "Hold it," shouted Sakura as they pursued them. "Hey bros, I'm gonna need some more chakra to deal with that twerp," said Gitai. "He's right, we wasted too much on that combo," said Shizuku. "Alright, let's find Kusuna," said Setsuna. They leapt to the rooftops of the castle and saw the violet-haired man known as Kusuna. "Brother, we need more chakra." But they immediately jumped off the roof just as wide orbs impacted with the roof before Naruto and the others landed on it. "We have to retreat, there's no way they'll give us the chance to replenish," said Kusuna. Then they leapt over the waterfall and ran away. Naruto, Sakura and Lee jumped to the bottom of the waterfall, where he saw the priestess, Teruho and another familiar face Neji. He now wears a white kimono shirt with long, loose sleeves, matching pants, a navy gray apron tied to his waist, and black shinobi sandals. "I'd like to thank you all for protecting Lady Xian," said Teruho. Then he turned to Naruto. "Especially you." Naruto simply gave a silent nod as he was feeling nervous around the others. "I'll take Lady Xian back to her sleeping quarters, and we shall meet in the throne room." Then Teruho carried the priestess away, leaving the rest behind. Neji stared at the stranger. "I'm grateful that you helped to protect the priestess, but we'd like to know who you are." Naruto was silent for a moment before finally speaking. "It has been a long time since we last saw each other." He took off his hood to reveal his face, much to the shock of the others, before they started glaring at him angrily. "I don't know who you are, but you better drop the disguise before I break your face in." Sakura cracked her knuckles as Neji and Lee took fighting stance. "Guys wait, it's really me Naruto." The Naruto we know is dead, and we buried his body back in the Hidden Leaf village, said Neji coldly. We won't let you desecrate the death of our friend, said Lee. Then how can I prove that it's really me? Asked Naruto. Sakura was silent before finally speaking. What was the last thing Naruto told me before he died? I promised that I would bring Sasuke back no matter what. Their eyes widened as no one aside her and the assigned team heard those words. Naruto? Is that really you? Naruto nodded in affirmation, but how? When I was stabbed by Sasuke's Chidori and died, I met Kami who gave me a chance to be reborn in another world so that I can live a new life. If so, then why are you here instead of being in the new world? Asked Neji. Since it's you guys, I can tell you. Kami-sama requested my help to travel to different worlds and stop evil forces alongside the people of those worlds. Then that means you're here to help the priestess seal Morio away, said Neji with Naruto nodding in affirmation. Let's head to the throne room since we're supposed to meet the priestess. Naruto walked into the castle with the others' clothes, although Sakura looked deep in thought. Later, the group sat down with the priestess who was now wearing a lavender kimono, with her hair kept tied back with a golden crown. Behold Shion, the priestess of the land of ogres, said Teruho. I am Neji Hyuga, my lady, captain of the Least Team 7, said Neji. I am Rock Lee, said Lee with a salute. Hi Sakura Haruno, said Sakura with a smile. The name's Naruto Uzumaki, nice to meet you, said Naruto with a grin. We've come to escort Lady Shion to the Sealing Shrine, said Neji. A lot of lives were lost in the assault last night. And just as Lady Shion foretold, Sasuke was among that number, said Teruho. Shion simply looked like she didn't care naturally, but as you can see that I still breathe. I'm sure they shoulder no regret. Naruto gritted his teeth in anger as he remembered the bodies that lay dead when he arrived to help and that she simply shrugged off their deaths like it was nothing. How could you say something like that? You should show respect to the people who died for you. When Shion looked at Naruto, her glazed over for a moment before coming back into focus. Then she stood up and walked over to him. You're going to die very soon. Could you repeat that? I don't think I heard it clearly the first time. You're going to be pierced through the chest and die soon. Upon hearing her words, Naruto looked surprised while Sakura and the rest were horrified. Someone whom they had just reunited with has just been told that he was going to die again. So that's what I heard, and all I can say is no way. I already died before and I have no intentions of dying again, said Naruto before walking away in a huff. This brought confusion to Shion and Teruho with what he had just said. Wait, you mean he died some time ago? Asked Shion. Sakura and the others simply gave a silent nod. Yes, a few years ago, he and I were assigned to a team to retrieve a member of the Hidden Leaf village. We encountered enemy ninjas and split up to face each, with Naruto being the last to continue the pursuit. But by the time we found him, he laid on the ground with hole in his chest, and Sasuke was unconscious nearby, said Neji. Then how did he come back? From what he said, he was reborn in another world and was given a mission to help you seal Morio away. This was the first time that we met again. They were all silent. Neji and the others excused themselves, and Teruho escorted them to one of the rooms where they found Naruto leaning back against the wall. How did I get stuck protecting someone like her? Naruto grumbled. Please forgive her, Lady Shion often sees visions of people's deaths. But please, you shouldn't let it worry you, said Teruho. Hearing this, Naruto relaxed a bit. Oh, so that means she doesn't get it right all the time, right? Actually no, she's always right 100% most of the time. Then why did you just tell me not to worry about it? Said Naruto with a tick mark on his forehead. Because worrying wouldn't change anything. Well then let me tell you something, there's no way I'm gonna let any prophecy decide whether I live or not. The others simply smiled as this is Naruto they're talking about, he's too stubborn to accept things as they are. Very well then, I'll go and gather the guards so that we can escort Lady Shion to the Sealing Shrine. Teruho got up and left the room, and Neji went after to try and change his mind. Naruto turned to the others and asked, so what has happened since I was gone from the Hidden Leaf village? When everyone heard of your death, we were all sad about it. Lady Tsunade kept crying about how the Hokage necklace claimed another loved one, Master Jiraiya fell into a depression, and Kakashi-sensei visited your grave and Hokage monument more often now, said Sakura sadly. Naruto felt guilty since he promised her that he wouldn't die until he became Hokage. What about Sasuke? Ever since then, Sasuke had changed. He became more withdrawn and won't let anyone get close to him. Anbu keeps watch over him to make sure that he doesn't leave the village again, and Tsunade decreed that he would never be promoted to Chunin or Jounin. What about Gaara? Asked Naruto. He wanted to know how his friend has been doing since then. Gaara became the Kazekage of the village, but then he got captured by 2 members of the Akatsuki. We immediately went to his aid with one of the elders of the Hidden Sand village by the name Lady Chiyo. But by the time we got there, Gaara was dead. Sakura and Lady Chio defeated one of the members, while the other performed a kamikaze attack when we were about to defeat him. Lady Chio then used a jutsu which brought Gaara back to life, but she ended up offering hers in exchange, said Lee. Naruto clenched his fist in anger. Damn that Akatsuki, at least Gaara came back and Kurama is in the Makai world, so I doubt they'll succeed in whatever plans that they have for the Biju, thought Naruto, then the door opened to reveal Niji with a look of annoyance. This is ridiculous, Teruho insists on taking more of their forces with us. We're to wait until preparations are complete, said Niji. We don't have that kind of time, we have to get Shion to the shrine before Morio does, said Naruto. Then let us be off. They turned to the voice and saw Shion, but she was wearing a different clothing. She wore a bra-like white top with a mustard yellow jacket which looks a little big for her and red pants. Are you sure that you wish to leave without Teruho? Asked Niji. I am the priestess of this land, if I want to leave my attendants behind I will, said Shion. She led them back to the waterfall which she says is where she purifies herself and it also has an escape route. They passed through the waterfall and began their journey to the shrine to seal the spirit of Morio away. Chapter end. Alright, that's it for today's video guys, let me know in the comments section how was the story and also don't forget to like, share and subscribe. I will meet you in another video, peace out.